Hare Krishna. The volume is low.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Can you hear me better now? Haribol? Oh,
Yes.
all right. Okay. Well, let's start all over again. We are in chapter three, canto three, chapter 23, verse number 9. And it says, upon hearing the speaking of her husband, who excelled in knowledge of all kinds of transcendental science, innocent Devahuti was very satisfied, her smiling face shining with a slightly bashful glance. She spoke in a choked voice because of great humility and love. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. It is said that if one is already engaged in Krishna consciousness and is rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord, then it can be supposed that he has finished all recommended courses of austerity, penance, religion, sacrifice, mystic yoga, and meditation. Devahuti's husband was so expert in the transcendental science that there was nothing for him to argue about. And when she heard him speak, she was confident that since he was very much advanced in devotional service, he had already surpassed all transcendental educational activities. She had no doubt about the gifts offered by her husband. She knew that he was expert in offering such gifts. And when she understood that he was offering the greatest gift, she was very satisfied. She was overwhelmed with ecstatic love, and therefore she could not reply then with faltering language. Just like an attractive wife, she spoke the following words. Text number 10, Canto 3, Chapter 23, text number 10. Devahuti said, my dear husband, O best of Brahmanas, I know that you have achieved perfection and are the master of all infallible mystic powers because you are under the protection of Yogamaya, the transcendental nature. But you once made a promise that our bodily union should now fulfill, since children are a great quality for a chaste woman who has a glorious husband. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Devahuti expressed her happiness by uttering the word bata, where she knew that her husband was in a highly elevated transcendental position and was under the shelter of Yogamaya. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, those who are great souls, Mahatmas, are not under the control of the material energy. The Supreme Lord has two energies, material and spiritual. The living entities are marginal energy. As marginal energy, a person may be under the control of the material energy or the spiritual energy, Yogamaya. Kardama Muni was a great soul, and therefore he was under the spiritual energy, which means that he was directly connected with the Supreme Lord. The symptom of this is Krishna consciousness, constant engagement in devotional service. This was known to Devahuti, yet she was anxious to have a son by bodily union with the sage. She reminded her husband of his promise to her parents. I will remain only until the time of Devahuti's pregnancy. She remembered him that she reminded him that for a chaste woman to have a child by a great personality is most glorious. She wanted to be pregnant, and she prayed for that. The word stri means expansion, By bodily union of the husband and wife, their qualities are expanded. Children are born of good parents. Children are born of good parents. Children born of good parents are expansions of the parents' personal qualifications. Both Kardama Muni and Devahuti were spiritually enlightened. Therefore, she desired from the beginning that first she be pregnant and then she be empowered with the achievement of God's grace and love of God. For a woman, it is a great ambition to have a son of the same quality as a highly qualified husband. Since she had the opportunity to have Kardama Muni as her husband, she also desired to have a child by bodily union. Well, she wants to have a child like her husband. Uh, so that just proves, how spiritually elevated uh, both Kardama Muni and Devahuti were, as it says, were spiritually enlightened. Okay, so we'll go to text 11, which says, Devahuti continued, My dear Lord, I am struck by excited emotion for you. Therefore, kindly make what arrangements must be made according to the scriptures, so that my skinny body, emaciated through unsatisfied passion, may be rendered fit for you. Although, my Lord, please think of a suitable house for this purpose. Well, there we go. As soon as there's marriage, and then there's a desire to have children, then now you have to have, a house, and everything goes with the house, and so forth. So let's see what's going to happen here. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Vedic literatures are not only full of spiritual instruction, but are also instructive in how to prosecute material existence very nicely with the ultimate aim of spiritual perfection. Devahuti asked her husband, therefore, how to prepare herself for sex life according to the Vedic instructions. Sex life is especially meant for having good children. The circumstances for creating good children was mentioned as Kama Shastra, the scripture in which suitable arrangements are preached for factually glorious sex life. Everything needed is mentioned in the scriptures. What sort of house and decorations there should be, what sort of dress the wife should have, how she should be decorated with ointments, scents, and other attractive features, etc. With these requisites fulfilled, the husband will be attracted by her beauty, and a favorable mental situation will be created. The mental situation at the time of sex life may then be transferred into the womb of the wife, and good children can come out of that pregnancy. Here is a special reference to Devahuti's bodily features. Because she had become skinny, she feared that her body might have no attraction for Kardama. She was to be instructed how to improve her bodily condition in order to attract her husband. Sexual intercourse in which the husband is attracted to the wife is sure to produce a male child, but sexual intercourse based on attraction of the wife for the husband may produce a girl. So let me read that again. Sexual intercourse in which the husband is attracted to the wife is sure to produce a male child, but sexual intercourse based on attraction of the wife for the husband may produce a girl. That is mentioned in the Ayurveda. When passion of the woman is greater, there is a chance of a girl's being born. When the passion of the man is greater, then there is possibility of a son. Devahuti wanted the passion of her husband to be increased by the arrangement mentioned in the Kama Shastra. She wanted him to instruct her in that way, and she also requested that he arrange for a suitable house because the hermitage in which Kardama Muni was living was very simple and completely in the mode of goodness, and there was no less possibility of passions being aroused in his heart. Okay, now we're getting into the preparation for having uh, sexual intercourse in order to have a proper child. Uh, so here Prabhupada is revealing something very interesting. He says, sexual intercourse in which the husband is attracted to the wife is sure to produce a male child, but sexual intercourse based on attraction of the wife for the husband may produce a girl. That is mentioned in the Ayurveda. When the passion of the woman is greater, there's a chance of girls being born. When the passion of the woman is greater, there's a chance of a girl's being born. When the passion of the man is greater, then there's the possibility of a son. Devahuti wanted the passion of her husband, then there is the possibility of a son. Devahuti wanted the passion to be increased by the arrangement mentioned in the Kama Shastra. She wanted him to instruct her in that way, and she also requested that he arrange for a suitable house because the hermitage in which Kardama Muni was living was not very possibly of passions being aroused in the heart. Okay, so these are a lot of information about preparation for copulating in order to have a child. And here it says, everything is mentioned in the scriptures. What sort of house and decorations there should be, what sort of dress the wife should have, how she should be decorated with ornaments, scents, and other attractive features, etc. With these requisites fully fulfilled, the husband will be attracted by her beauty, and a favorable mental situation will be created. The mental situation at the time of sex life may then be transferred into the womb of the mother, and good children can come out of the pregnancy. There is great reference to Devahuti's bodily features because she had become skinny. She feared that her body might have no attraction for Kardama. She wanted to be instructed how to improve her bodily condition in order to attract her husband. Sexual intercourse in which the husband is attracted to the wife is sure to produce a male child, but sexual intercourse based on attraction of the wife for the husband may produce a girl. That is mentioned in the Ayurveda. when the passion of the woman is greater, there's a chance of a girl's being born. When the passion of the man is greater, there is a chance of a girl's being born. When the passion of the man is greater, then there is the possibility of a son. Devahuti wanted the passion of her husband to be increased by the arrangement mentioned in the Kama Shastra. She wanted him to instruct her in that way, and she also requested that he arrange for a suitable house because the hermitage in which Kardama Muni was living was very simple and completely in the mode of goodness, and there was less possibility of passions being aroused in his heart. Okay, so we can see here that Devahuti and Kardama Muni are expert in the psychology of how to have sex, to have a boy or a girl. In other words, everything depends on the consciousness of people. It's not just a physical thing. The mental state of the husband and wife is going to determine the quality and the sex of the child. So that's why Prabhupada says here, sexual intercourse in which the husband is attracted to the wife is sure to produce a male child. But sexual intercourse based on attraction of the wife for the husband may produce a girl. That is mentioned in the Ayurveda. When the passion of the woman is greater, there's a chance of a girl's being born. When the passion of the man is greater, there is the possibility of a son. Devahuti wanted the passion of her husband to be increased by the arrangement mentioned in the Kama Shastra. She wanted him to instruct her in that way, and she also requested that he arrange for a suitable house because the hermitage in which Kardama Muni was living was very simple and completely in the mode of goodness, and there was less possibility of passions being aroused in his heart. Now, this is science, how to have a child. And it's not a child exactly, it's how to have a boy. And there's a lot of arrangements that have to be done. It can't be haphazard, uh, and it can't be based on lust. It has to be based on a planned process. And both Devahuti and Kardama Muni were expert at this. In fact, this knowledge is being given here in the Srimad Bhagavatam for the benefit of all husband and wife who want to have good children. Because the quality of the child will be determined by the consciousness of the husband and wife at the moment of copulation. And if it's done in the mode of ignorance or passion, the child will not be such, uh, exemplary state. But if it's done in goodness or transcendental goodness, then you're going to have good children. Now we see how consciousness is so important. It's not, it's everything, the whole science of having, a child is very important to be taught to newlywed couples. They should read Srimad Bhagavatam before they do anything. Of course, very few people are doing that, unfortunately. And that's why there are many uh, children being born with, well, sometimes husband and wife are both in the mode of goodness, and the child will come out to be more or less in the mode of goodness. And other times they're in the mode of passion or ignorance, and then the child will be uh, influenced mostly by passion and ignorance. So this is a science. This is the science of how to have children. And if we and we're going to see here that as soon as Kardama Muni, the Devahuti, gets her pregnant, he actually leaves uh, and continues his austerity. Uh, but because they plan to have a child and basically a little boy who, and based on their pure consciousness, that little boy is incarnation of God. So, uh, and the whole thing was planned. In other words, they have control of their mind and their senses. It's not lusty behavior. It's planned. It's a science. And that's why it says here the mental situation at the time of sex life may then be transferred into the womb of the wife, and the good children can come out of that pregnancy. Here is a special reference to Devahuti's bodily features. Because she had become skinny, she feared that her body might have no attraction for her wife, for her husband. Okay, now you have to understand how that this is a science. The uh, and this is the most important science because knowing how to have good children is necessary in so that the civilization will be of good people. And not knowing this, many children will be born that are basically in the modes of passion and usually just ignorance. And it's going to ultimately destroy the qualities of a saintly people. Of course, even if the child is born because of the lust or ignorance of the parents, the child can be corrected by becoming Krishna conscious and trained by devotees. But it's much better that right from the start uh, to follow the right principles in order to have a good child. And that's what we're learning about here. And that's why Prabhupada says uh, sex life is especially meant for having good children. The circumstances for creating good children are mentioned in Kama Shastra, the scripture in which suitable arrangements are prescribed for factually glorious sex life. Everything needed is mentioned in the scripture. What sort of house and decorations there should be, what sort of dress the wife should have, how she should be decorated with ornaments, scents, and other attractive features, etc. With these requisites fulfilled, the husband will be attracted by her beauty and a favorable mental situation will be created. The mental situation at the time of sex life may then be transferred into the womb of the wife. And good children can come out of that pregnancy. Here is a special reference to Devahuti's bodily features. Because she had become skinny, she feared that her body might have no attraction for Kardama. I mean, this is the science of how to have good children. Is this science taught in schools? No. In schools, there is sex, uh, what do you call
Education.
education, but it's not this. It's not what's being explained here. Sex education in school is all about, uh, and basically, it's all about how to have sex like low class people. But this is science of sex, how to have uh, good spiritually, let's say, influenced children, and it's a science. So if they want to have education, they should use what's being explained here to educate kids in school instead of the nonsense things they say. They show pictures of the penis of a husband of a man and the genitals of a woman, and all the kids are snickering and laughing, and they already know about it anyway. So, uh, and it just gets them agitated to have sex when they hear all the way they teach it in school. However, what's being taught here is scientific and it's spiritual. So there is a science for everything in life, for every activity, every uh, type of endeavor that one takes. There's a science for it. And now we're reading the science of how to have good children. Okay, so we still have time. Good. Any questions about this? Here it says, sex life is especially meant for having good children. The circumstances for creating good children are mentioned in Kama Shastra, the scripture in which suitable arrangements are prescribed for factually glorious sex life. Everything needed is mentioned in the scriptures. What sort of house and decorations there should be, what sort of dress the wife should have, how she should be decorated with ornaments, scents, and other attractive features, etc. With these requisites fulfilled, the husband will be attracted by her beauty, and a favorable mental situation will be created. The mental situation at the time of sex life may then be transferred into the womb of the wife, and good children can come out of that pregnancy. The key word here is mental situation at the time of sex. I don't think many people are following this at all, but this is the science of copulation in order to have a good child. Okay, so it says there sexual intercourse in which the husband is attracted to the wife is sure to produce a male child. But sexual intercourse based on attraction of the wife for the husband may produce a girl. Now, but we have read previously that Kardama Muni and uh, uh, Diti, where the wife, or Diti sort of forces Kardamamuni to have sex at the wrong time, and it was all based on lust. And what happened? Two demons were born: Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashi. So there, if you want to know about how to do things, even how to have sex, you have to read Srimad Bhagavatam. It explains everything, and it's for the welfare of society. So, uh, having children, there's a science how to have children. So, all these things are necessary if we want to have a peaceful society and a happy society. So here it says the circumstances for creating good children are mentioned in the Kama Shastra, the scripture in which suitable arrangements are prescribed for factually glorious sex life. Now, that's a very interesting statement that Prabhupada is making. He's talking about factually glorious sex life. Everything needed is mentioned in the scriptures. What sort of house, the decorations there should be, what sort of dress the wife should have, how she should be decorated with ointments, scents, and other attractive features, etc. With these requisites fulfilled, the husband will be attracted by her beauty, and a favorable mental situation will be created. The mental situation at the time of sex life may then be transferred into the womb of the mother, and good children can come out of that pregnancy. Therefore, it's all based on the mental situation of the husband and the wife. That's why chanting our rounds is very important. And before having, before trying to have a child, it's recommended that we chant 50 rounds. The day that we're, and the day has to be properly chosen also. And then chant 50 rounds, and the way the wife is dressed. All these things are part of the science of having good children. And then having the right mental situation at the time of sex life. So that good mental situation is transferred into the womb of the wife, and good children can come out of that pregnancy. Okay, so now we see how important it is for people to read Srimad Bhagavatam. Everything is explained in this shastras, and especially the most important things like how to have good children. Because if you know how to have good children, there will be a good society. And if people just have sex for their own personal, sense gratification, then they're just going to have sense gratifier kids, and eventually even worse than that. And then society will become completely, let's say, chaotic. And that's what's happening. I mean, you can go into some neighborhoods today, and uh, the kids are really bad, really behave badly. Uh, and it's not only black kids, it's also white kids. And then the music they listen to, and the food they eat, and the way they talk, it's shocking, how low class it is. And this is part of the culture. and it's ruining the country. And the politicians, they don't read Srimad Bhagavatam, but they themselves are low class. What do you expect of the normal people? And they're heroes. Let's look at the heroes. The heroes are people, that are musicians, singers, and football players, baseball players, and no, 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 pure devotees. They're all, uh, in other words, they're expert in sense gratification. But even the sense gratification I have, it's not expertise. It's low class. So therefore, if they have children, it's going to be low class children. It's not glorious sex life. Just see how Prabhupada says things that are amazing. Glorious sex life. Most people say, well, what's glorious about it? Well, when you follow all these principles that are being explained here, then it's glorious. But if you just act like an animal, it's not glorious. Okay. Any questions? There's a lot of things in these purports, and it's amazing what Prabhupada is writing. All right. The questions. Well, the key statement here is everything needed is mentioned in the scriptures. What sort of house and decorations there should be. What sort of dress the wife should have. How she should be decorated with ointments, scents, other attractive features, etc. With these requisites fulfilled, the husband will be attracted by her beauty, and a favorable mental situation will be created. The mental situation at the time of sex life may then be transferred into the womb of the wife, and good children can come out of that pregnancy. This is a huge statement, and it says the science of how to have good children. Do they teach this in school? No, they just teach, sex education is they show you a picture of a boy's penis, and then they show a picture of a girl's vagina. That's it. And then all the kids are snickering and laughing and trying to stop themselves from laughing. It's a joke, a real joke. There's no real education. This is real education. You want to have sex education? Here it is. It's not what they teach in school. What they teach in school is for demons.
There, it's about how to protect so that you can have unrestricted sex.
How what? Oh, not have
Not about children, right? It's about actually not having children.
yes, right. Yeah.
And
How to
it's
use
purely
condoms.
about
How to use
yeah.
condoms. There was one devotee lady who was giving condoms to her daughter every time her daughter would go out on a date.
Hmm.
And she would say also, now make sure you use this. I mean, these were um, low class people, uh, you know. So the mother is low class, the daughter is low class. The mother knows the daughter's going to go out and have sex, so she's giving her condoms so she doesn't get pregnant. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay, So now we will go on to text 12, unless there are more questions from this purport. You see, unless people are educated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and especially Srimad Bhagavatam, how are they going to be successful spiritually? How are they going to do things correctly? They're not learning the correct way of doing things. And because of that, their lives are usually spoiled. Now, let's look, maybe you can look something up, see how many, uh, see how many, uh, well, okay, we know that about 50% of marriages end in divorce. That means there are a lot of children whose parents are divorced. Uh, so that means that those kids are going to grow up and they're not going to be really happy because it's like a traumatic experience for a kid when the parents get divorced. Very, very traumatic for them. They think like their whole world is falling apart. Okay, so now what do I want to see? What do I want to look up?
How many children have divorced parents?
Okay.
Around half of the children will witness the breakup of a parents.
Terrible. Horrible. Half of the children.
Yeah, around half of the children.
My God. Also, here, very significant statement Prabhupada is making in this purport is the Vedic literature are not only full of spiritual instruction, but are also instructive in how to prosecute material existence very nicely with the ultimate aim of spiritual perfection. Now, that's an amazing statement. And then he says, sex life is especially meant for having good children. The circumstances for creating good children are mentioned in the Kama Shastra, the scripture in which suitable arrangements are prescribed for factually glorious sex life. Now, I know my question is this when it says Kama Shastra, is it the Kama Sutra that he's talking about? And the Kama Shastra is something else? Or is this just the Kama Sutra?
Also,
Because he doesn't say Kama Sutra, he says Kama Shastra.
they are not the same.
They're not the same, huh?
No.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
The Kama Shastra, this term refers to the broader body of ancient literature and knowledge concerning Kama, that is desire, pleasure, and love. And Kama Shastra includes not only the Kama Sutra, this is actually broader basically, it's the entire. Also the texts and teachings related to love, pleasure, and human relationships. Especially Kama Shastra is the overarching science of our study of love, pleasure, and relationship, of which Kama Sutra is the key. So Kama Sutra is a specific text on relationships and sexual behavior.
Yeah, so here Prabhupada is referring to Kama Shastra. He's not saying Kama Sutra. So, and Prabhupada says everything needed is mentioned in the scriptures. He says the circumstances for creating good children are mentioned in Kama Shastra. Kama Sutra usually is about, just having sex. I don't think it talks too much about having good children. I'm not sure.
Basically, a specific subset of.
Yeah. But here, Prabhupada is talking about Kama Shastra, the scripture in which suitable arrangements are prescribed for factually glorious sex life. That's a huge statement. Glorious sex life. Now, some people think, that devotees, they always talk about sex in a negative way, right? Having illicit sex. Devotees always talk about illicit sex, illicit sex, illicit sex. But here, Prabhupada's talking about glorious sex life. And he's talking about the Kama Shastra, the scripture in which suitable arrangements are prescribed for factually glorious sex. Now, should devotees read that, the Kama Shastra? Well, Prabhupada's mentioning it here. And you don't have to read, you don't have to go and buy a book on Kama Shastra. It's all right here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why we should read everything through the prism of Srimad Bhagavatam, not through the prism of the karmis. You know, uh, you can get a book on Kama Shastra, Kama Sutra, and in a bookstore. But it's not the same as what we're reading here. That's why you don't have to read anything else. You want to learn about sex, read Bhagavad Gita. You want to learn about this, you can read how to have children, you can read Bhagavad Gita. You want to learn how to be happy, you read Bhagavad Gita. You don't need any other book. You just need these two books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. That's it. And this is what basically we should explain the importance of these two books and everything you need to have a happy, healthy, uh, and spiritual life is in these two books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. This should be the curriculum taught in schools. This should be the knowledge taught to children. I don't know of any school where they read uh, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Well, you might say the devotee schools. All right, maybe. But that's just like a very small number of people. There's a huge number of people that are not reading these texts, you know. And by the way, we're in the third canto here, right? So you don't get to hear this until the third canto. So that means you have to be really dedicated to constantly reading the Vedic Shastras, the Srimad Bhagavatam. But everything is in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. You don't have to read any other book. You want to know how to have sex? You read this. You want to know how to have good children? You read this. Whatever you want to do, it's all explained here. You want to know how to go back to Godhead? It's explained here. You want to know how to have a successful life and a happy life? It's explained here. There's no other book so, like, let's say, authoritative and uh, important for the education of kids. The books that they are forced to read are all nonsense. This is the real book, the Shrimad Bhagavatam and Shrimad Bhagavat and the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. These are the books that should be taught in school. And everything is in this book of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Everything is here for the education of children. Therefore, parents should be taught to teach. Okay, since the children are not learning this in school, it's not part of the school curriculum. Then they should be reading this with their kids every day to balance what they're learning. Otherwise, they're just learning the one side, the karmi side of life. They're not reading what is the spiritual side of life. And they're getting poisoned by it. Okay, so are there any questions? What's good about Prabhupada's, whatever Prabhupada writes, it's authoritative.
Mm.
You know, it's not maybe this, maybe that. He is giving it straight and bona fide. And that's what's so wonderful about Prabhupada. He just, and here he's talking about factually glorious sex life. This is like amazing statement. Glorious sex life. I've never heard any sannyasi say that. Have you ever heard? Have you ever heard a sannyasi say that? Well, yeah. Now we heard Prabhupada is sannyasi, right? He's saying glorious sex life. Usually we say, oh, it's really bad, it's nonsense, it's been sense gratification. No, but there is something as actually glorious sex life. It's amazing.
Yeah, everything in Krishna's creation. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, what is the seventh chapter, right? Maharaj, where the sex life not opposed to the
Yeah,
religious principle
yeah.
is also is through that we can,
Well, that gives you a hint of what,
so that means like there is a purpose for everything,
yes,
and if it is used in the right purpose,
yeah.
in this case, it is about creating society and children of higher
That's the most
stature.
important thing. Most important thing in any society, be able to educate your children properly. You know, they're not going to get it at school. I mean, they have classes in school of you know sex life, but it's all about what the penis looks like and what the vagina looks like. Why don't you look up sex education in school? Let's see what they say. I mean, this is what we're reading now is sex education, but it's different than what they're teaching in school. They'll show you a pic. I think what they do is they show you a picture of a penis and they show you a picture of a vagina, and the kids are all snickering and laughing and so forth. Why? Because they already know about it. Yeah, go ahead.
So they teach about the human anatomy and reproduction.
Yeah.
Um, Basically, a part of that is understanding male and female reproductive systems, the process of conception, pregnancy, and childbirth, puberty, physical changes that occur during adolescence. Then the second part is sexual health. This is where they're going to talk about sexually transmitted diseases, contraception methods like condoms, birth control pills, and so on. Understanding the importance of regular health checkups, including sexual health screenings. Then next is consent in relationships. Mm. So the concept of consent and importance of mutual respect in relationships and understanding healthy and unhealthy relationships. Basically about signs of abuse and things like that. Communication skills for discussing boundaries and relationship issues, consent, and then abstinence and decision making, education on abstinence and choice to not engage in sexual activity, and discussing the consequences of sexual activity, including emotional and social impacts, encouraging informed decision making regarding sexual activity. Then we go on to this sexual orientation and gender identity. uh, Heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, etc. Understanding gender identity, transgender, non-binary identities, promoting respect and inclusion for all sexual orientations and gender identities.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's really important.
Sexual abuse and safety, recognizing and preventing sexual abuse and harassment, emotional and physiological aspects, uh,
Nothing spiritual.
cultural and ethical perspectives, and then reproductive rights and resources. So that's what they cover in the sex education.
Does it mention the mental situation at the time of sex life?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Some physical dimension, maybe a little bit on the emotional level,
Yeah, emotions though, that's different.
but not at the mental.
Yeah. The mental situation at the time of sex.
Consciousness and there is no, obviously they don't understand that that has a huge consequence on the consciousness of the child that is going.
Yes, absolutely. You see, it's not that, Bhagavatam is only about, Krishna's pastimes. No, it's about everything in life and how to have a good life. You know? So, and here Prabhupada is talking about, he says, the Kama Shastra, not Sutra, the Kama Shastra, the scripture in which suitable arrangements are prescribed for factually glorious sex life. I had never heard that before.
Generally, sex life is used as a negative annotation.
Yes.
It's like here, it's like full of positive.
Glorious sex life. Haribol. That's our takeaway today. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Are there any questions anyone wants to ask? So if someone asks you, what did you learn today? You say, well, we learned about glorious sex. They'll say, wow, I'm sorry. I should have been in the class to hear about that. Yeah, right. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare